final verse. You know him and love him from Saturday Night Live, and now he's Hiller and or Diller on the new ABC sitcom. Hiller and Diller. Which is it? Hiller, Kevin Nealon. Hiller. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. She's a conservative activist and a founder of the Saviors Alliance for Lifting the Truth. My old job, Christine O'Donnell. There you go. She writes the Unzipped column, woo, in the online magazine Salon, Courtney Weaver. Courtney, pleasure to meet you. And as an Oscar-nominated actor, his films include Caddyshack, The Great Santini, and Ghost of Mississippi. His directorial debut is Raising the Ashes. Michael O'Keefe. Michael, pleasure. Kevin, how are you? All right. Well, you know, people always ask me if we like this. Somebody asked me right here today in the Q&A if we like being here on ABC, and I always say yes, and one reason is because they provide a lot of controversy right here at the network. Last year we had Ellen. Well, they've got another show that people are buzzing about. It's called Nothing Sacred, and it's about a hip priest and his talking car, and they solve crimes, apparently.
What channel is that on?
No, it's on our channel. You're on ABC.
All right, Hiller and Diller's also.
No, they don't solve crimes, but this is a show about a priest, and some of the things that go on in this show, you and I are going to wind up agreeing on this one. This is going to be a first. He contemplates having sex in a motel room, and even more shocking, with a woman. Listen to this. Somebody comes in, a woman asking about advice about abortion. And this is a priest. He tells her, you're an adult with your own conscience. I can't tell you what to do. Now, this is not the Catholic Church I remember. I was raised Catholic. And the question is this town, Hollywood, and its elite, so out of touch they don't know what goes on with Christians and so forth? I mean,
if I were the Catholic Church, I would be dancing in the street about this show. I would be so happy that it would be finally like good PR for them. I mean, it may not be the PR they want, but if I saw Father Ray on giving me advice, I'd go back to church. I'd go back to Mass every week.
Well, the reality is clergy is called to teach sound doctrine, and this priest is not. And unfortunately, you know, all throughout history, clergy has done that, not preaching sound doctrine. But the Bible tells us that there's greater condemnation for those who teach if they don't teach according to what God calls us to. But the interesting thing is...
But he's not a real priest.
No, but I'm talking about...
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, there are clergy out there who are like that. But for every...
There are clergy out there who are like this? I don't...
No, there should be. There should be clergy like this.
Not there should be. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There shouldn't be.
Well, I
because
would
the
disagree
reality...
with you just for a second. The thing, if you don't mind.
Of course, go ahead. That's why I'm here, to be disagreed with.
Michael, I'd like to disagree with you for a second.
No. Kevin, the thing about it is that, in a sense, it's inappropriate for me to comment on the show because I haven't seen the show. Also, Kevin Anderson's a great actor, Dean Stockwell. I mean, these are really talented people.
That's not the point.
No,
the
however,
point
I heard what your point is.
I didn't see the show either.
The advice that he gives, which is that I can't tell you what to do. I like that advice because what he could be saying is, you have to make up your own conscience. I can tell you what the church thinks. Here's what they think. I can't tell you what to do. I mean, and actually, it's not a bad bit of counseling.
Well, if we made up our own conscience, then everybody would be stealing, everybody would be committing adultery. We need absolutes. We need morals to go back to.
Do you?
No, absolutely.
I don't either, quite frankly.
Neither do I, but that's
I know something about our flesh. I know something about the sin nature of man.
Before I forget what I'm going to say. And this is pretty good stuff. Because I've seen the first 5 episodes of this show.
Oh, you have?
Yes. How many have aired?
Yeah, they've aired, I think, 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the first 2.
Well, you're with the network. You probably got an advanced screen.
I am up in arms about the show just as much as I was up in arms about The Flying Nun. No, it's misleading. It misrepresents the clergy.
Right.
I'm sure that there are women that joined the sisterhood that thought that they would be able to fly, you know, once they got the habit. Nothing, you know. Right. I'm sure that
Hey.
kids were going up on rooftops, jumping off with a habit, nothing, you know? So I
If
think
Mother
that,
Teresa couldn't get that going, who?
No.
Right.
Well, you got to get the speed going
Then some
first on the
parents
ground.
started the parents of these nuns started, then suing the network because their
Yeah.
kids were jumping off the
Yeah.
Yeah, today that would probably happen.
Absolutely.
But don't you think that people should question what they're being taught?
Well, if you're a Catholic, I mean, that's the whole point of the church is, just doctrinaire indoctrination. I don't think it is questioning. I mean, if you...
No, certainly that's not the point of the church, nor is it the point of Christianity. And the point of religion, from my point of view, we might agree on this one. The point of religion is that it should empower you to interpret what you were calling absolutes and doctrines like that. So if a priest is going to say to you, it's your decision, he's right, it is your decision. There is an absolute. I don't think we have to wear it to bed with us.
Did you
But
ever
you
have
should
a
be
nun
around,
just absolutely crack you with a ruler?
Sure, I got the scars to prove it right
Yeah,
here.
so do I. And that to me was what the Catholic Church was all about. This is
that's-
what we say.
This is what I'm saying.
Well,
You
that's
better believe it.
religion. And we don't need religion. We need a relationship with God. And too often, the clergy might have religion, but they don't have a relationship with God. And what ends up, people end up determining their view of God or whether or not they want God in their life
I have
by
a
the actions of the
relationship
church.
with my sponsors that I cannot break.
Be on your soul!
Oh, well, that's our old Who Has Time to Read. I don't know if we've ever done this on ABC. We see this all the time on cable when a book came out that people don't have time to read. And this one is The Other Woman by Paula Barbieri. You thought it'd be appropriate because, Courtney, now your column on in the internet called Unzipped is all, and one of your themes I know is that you think men are more romantic than women. And this is about, there's a lot of stuff in here about O.J. Let me just say, he's a typical man.
We're going to tell...
He's
Let me-
Mr.
we're-
Romance, yes.
Let me read some of the things that, for example, she says he opened every phone call with, "Hey, good looking, what's cooking?"
Yeah, that's a nice original statement.
And he closed everyone with, "Don't make me kill you." What about this? When they first made love, he started talking to my breasts as if they were two other girls. "You are beautiful," he said to the right one. Then he kissed the left one and said, "I'm not ignoring you."
Well, I wouldn't actually say O.J. is typical of most men, but hopefully not. But I do think that men try to recreate something that they had when they were 18 or 19 years old, and they sort of spend their life looking for that one great love again. And I think they live in an idealistic world, like an illusionary world where men do, where romance, they have this perfect idea of what love is, and they don't look at the more pragmatic views of it. And I think women go, when women are romancing somebody or they want to be romanced, they always know what the end result, what they want it to they
all,
look at it
women-
from a very
women-
pragmatic
I'm sorry.
view. Please,
I was just
go
going to say,
ahead.
women don't really know what they're talking about. No, I'm just not kidding. I'm kidding around. No, I have to say that. It's part of the deal. But, no, I think men have to be more romantic than women. I think it's been traditionally, the culture that we pursue women, and this is our way of getting them. It's like a lure to win them.
But that's only until we get them.
Exactly.
No, that's a good point.
What's the
In that
question?
love, real love, and true romantic gestures should be based on what can I give, not what can I get. And I think it's not necessarily a gender issue. Both men and women are guilty of manipulation in order to get something out of the relationship. But, ironically, I looked up the definition of romance, and it's interesting as to what you said, because it basically is fantasy. It's preferring the imagination over reality. And
right.
basically, if that's romance, I don't want that in my life.
But there's
then.
so much pressure on
But that's
the
not
man.
what romance is.
But there's a colloquial
Why is there so
definition
much
of
pressure on
romance,
men?
which is, you know, love, doing things out of love. And I think our culture today allows people to have very selfish kind of loves, but that's not what true love should be
There's
based
so much
Love is
pressure
always
on the
selfish.
man to be
But
romantic.
it shouldn't be.
You
It
know, they
shouldn't
have
be.
these romance novels. The women are always reading the romance novels,
Yes.
and they go to their
Yeah,
boyfriend.
but those are the
husband,
women
and
you
they
want to
think that-
avoid.
And it's based on, and those kind of things are based on a counterfeit love.
And if they're not romantic, then they have to suffer for it later. Like you're in a restaurant, and the woman comes around with a basket of roses, and she expects you to buy a rose. She puts you on the spot. You never see like a guy coming around with like a bucket of tools and making the girl buy a wrench for the guy.
Now, what you were
That's
gonna,
another thing.
wait a
That's
second.
also-
What is your definition? You said that wasn't
Well,
romance.
that's not it's not a good definition of romance.
But the one from Webster's?
No,
Yeah,
that's
no,
true.
the hell with the dictionary. Let's just
Webster
talk
was
about
not very
it.
romantic.
Yeah, that is a
man.
hot book. Webster.
All he did was sit around and write
Well,
defining
how
words.
would you define it?
Well, I personally, in a sense, I would have to agree with you because from my own experience, I was more romantic in the pursuit of my wife.
Who isn't?
But
You know,
why?
I
Because
called
you
her
wanted
up.
to get something, or because you got joy out of giving to her?
Absolutely got joy out of giving.
Well, that's
And I
sweet.
wanted to get a little bit too.
Well, okay.
We'll come back to this subject when we... Okay, we were addressing your thesis that men are more romantic than women. Now, a couple weeks ago, I watched this ABC special. They gave 2 hours to John Gray. You know who he is? He's the
yeah.
He
Men
was
Are
on
from
your show.
Mars, Women. He was on our show, Men Are from Mars, Women from Venus guy. And it was billed as the real world for married couples. And it really was. And every one of the couples had the same complaint. The women did. Their number one complaint was the men weren't romantic anymore, that once they got what they had wanted to begin with, they stopped saying, I love you. They stopped thinking about them. They stopped focusing on them. They didn't help them. They just weren't romantic. Now, if the romance only comes because you're trying to get something, then it's not romance, is it?
Absolutely not.
Well,
I don't
you
think
know,
so.
that's a good question, Billy. I think that, you know, I tell my wife all the time that I love her and I miss her. No, I wait for the commercial, you know, then I tell her. But I think it's, you know, I think that's part of the deal, you know?
But
It is kind of
In the
manipulation.
dating world, men are definitely more romantic because they're looking for something. They're looking for some great love
does
and
that-
great warm feeling. I think a lot of men are in love with love. But
The
after
man is
marriage, I
that
couldn't tell you.
well,
I think
that
in-
I do not
you're
know.
leaving
Just
out a
in-
big part then.
Well,
That's where I take up the slack, Billy.
I don't think
I turn it over to you now.
I don't
The
think
marriage
marriage or should be the, I mean, as a single woman, you know, I can't speak to marriage either, but I don't think that love should change whether you're married or unmarried. You know, the Bible says no
we're not talking
greater
shoulds,
love,
though, are we?
no greater love has a man than this, than to lay down his life for a friend. So it's truly about giving to the other person.
Which book
and
is
the
this?
greatest, it's, you know, the Bible.
Oh, the Bible,
You know,
the Bible.
You'll find it in your hotel room, in the drawer in your hotel room.
We're talking about that?
But the
Yeah.
the greatest
But no, you
joy
say
in
you
that
haven't
is
been
to-
married.
No,
No,
the
I've
thing about
never
marriage
been
is
married.
this,
I'm not married.
and I'll give you one brief example in marriage. The thing about marriage is this. When you definitely, I pursued my wife. I was just, I mean, I was sending telegrams. I was
Stalking,
sending
that's
cards,
stalking.
I was stalking. You know, and once we got past the lawsuit, it really began to cook between us.
Yeah. And how long have you been married? And your wife, we can say, is Bonnie Raitt, the beautiful,
She is.
talented Bonnie Raitt. And we all...
So now, I'm not going to sing any of her songs. Now, but once you get married, what happens, I think, is that your world literally changes.
Yes, it does.
And your perception of the world changes. And it's as if you don't really think a lot about it, but because you've taken this particular action, the whole world around you definitely changes. And one of the things that I had to learn in marriage was to be educated about continuing to be romantic and continuing to offer the words like, I love you, you know, I need you, it's nice that you're here, I like my coffee black.
And the fact that, and the fact that you, the fact that you took the time, to educate your stuff on that shows a gesture of true romance, because true romance involves sacrifice. You know, not taking the other person to your favorite restaurant, but maybe sacrificing and doing something that they want.
You're talking about ideals. I mean, we're
that's not
we're
ideals.
not really talking about what actually happens.
I think not necessarily an erotic romantic love can exist in friendship, but the kind of romantic gestures can exist in friendships when friends make sacrifices for one another.
But we're not talking about friends, honey. We're talking about people who are hitting each other in the shore.
But, well, wait a minute. What about me?
Oh.
I'm not hitting. Yeah, I mean, I won't say that. But
Right, you're a virgin, right?
Well,
Wait. As your attorney, I advise you not to answer that
Okay,
question.
wait a minute. But my point is, before I get married, I'm not going to be having sex with my boyfriend. He still has to be romantic, though.
Right.
I mean,
well,
so it doesn't matter whether or not you're.
Well, I guess he's going to have to be a little
hitting
extra
each other in the
romantic, isn't he?
shorts. A little what?
He's going to have to be a little extra romantic, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, he's going to be a Christian, so he's going to know how to give sacrificial love.
Okay, well, there you have it. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Mother proud.
All right, tomorrow we're going to have Jane Chastain, Lynn Sheriff, Francis Fisher, and Mr. Drew Carey. Okay, let me give you another example of the romantic OJ. Paula says he'd brag about my body to our friends. Quote, she may not look it, but she has...